Part 17. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 165. One more. There are two more updates today. This. Zhao Yulan and Li Aiwan had similar ideas. They hoped that the Zhou family would pay attention to Chuxia, but also worried that the Zhou family would look down on Chuxia because of it. Although they didn't know Jade, they knew that the bracelet was definitely not cheap, and they accepted it before they could stop their daughter. After taking off the bracelet, he wanted his daughter to return it, but felt that he was slapping her in the face, so he was speechless. "Sister, what this and that? This is a meeting gift for my daughter-in-law, not only for Chuxia, but also for you," Tao Lin Yangkaiu said as she waved to the eldest daughter-in-law. "Tao come and show your aunt." Yu Tao smiled and stepped forward to roll out her sleeves, revealing the crystal-clear jade bracelet on her wrist. "Auntie, this one of mine and the one in Chuxia are a pair, which was prepared by mother-in-law a long time ago, one for each daughter-in-law. Sooner or later I have to give it all, and my mother-in-law should be eager to give it sooner." Zhao Yulan took a good look, seeing that the bracelet on Tao's wrist and the bracelet on her daughter's wrist were obviously a pair, so she breathed a sigh of relief. She was indeed worried just now. If the eldest daughter-in-law of the Zhou family didn't have it, her heart would feel bad, and there would be disagreements between the sister-in-law in the future. Forget it, at this point, just accept it. The big deal, she just deposits the passbook back. After everyone came and went, Chuxia knew that what she did just now seemed to be inappropriate, but she did everything, and she had nothing to be hypocritical, so she simply said the truth. "Anyway, I didn't think so much, I just thought, Mom should accept it if she gives it." Implicit. "I don't care what you think, anyway, I accept it out of respect for the elders. As expected of the daughter-in-law of my Zhou family." Lin Yangkaiu embraced Chuxia happily. "I just like such a quick-tempered child. Okay, your delivery is over. It's my turn." Zhou Jingping handed a smooth wooden box to Chuxia. "This is a little bit of Dad's kindness." "Thank you, Dad, you didn't give in just now, and this time you can't give in." Chuxia took the box with a smile. "Dad, can I open it?" Of course, Zhou Jingping was extremely satisfied with Chuxia's performance, with a smile in his eyes. "Wow!" Seeing the small tank protruding from the box, everyone gasped in unison. Even Zhou Mikang's eyes flickered slightly. Zhou Jingping wouldn't let anyone move this tank. He had tried his best to snatch this from a certain chief, but he was willing to give it away this time. Although she is her own daughter-in-law. But if it is sent out, it is not his own. Zhou Jingping was very satisfied with everyone's performance, but he was secretly proud in his heart. "I borrowed my daughter-in-law's hand to give it to my son, a bunch of fools." Of course Chuxia likes the delicate little tank, but he can tell from everyone's expressions, it must have a history. After hesitating for a moment, he looked at Zhou Jingping. "Dad, I like this very much. But I don't have a place to put it right now. Why don't I store it with you first? Will you give it to me later?" She take a detour. This moment, Zhou Jingping was even more satisfied. Look at his wife here. More eye-catching, more talkative. He waved his hand. "There is no reason to take back the things you send out. You have no place to put them, so let the third child help you save them first." Everyone suddenly. "No wonder I was willing to do so, it turned out to be for this purpose." Zhou Mikang took the box from Chuxia's hand expressionlessly. "Okay, I'll keep it for you first, but Dad, don't think that a small tank can make me feel relieved. Some things may never pass." Although his son said that, Zhou Jingping was very happy. After all these years, this was the first time for his son to call him Dad in front of everyone. God knows how long he has been looking forward to this day. Not to mention a tank, even if his life can be exchanged for his son's love for him, he is also willing. In the past, it was not because he didn't want to give it away, but because his son didn't want to talk to him at all. And all of this was brought by the prospective daughter-in-law in front of him. Zhou Jingping's eyes on Chu Xia softened. Okay, you and your wife have finished giving away, and it's our turn, but we don't have such valuable things to give away, Liang Xiaohong said while giving Chu Xia a red envelope. Second uncle and aunt are ordinary people, so just accept it if you give it a face. Chu Xia had no choice but to take it with a smile. Thank you, second uncle and aunt. Zhou Gangping also handed over a red envelope. Nephew and daughter-in-law, this is from me and your third aunt. She is not sensible, so don't be as knowledgeable as her. Thank you, third uncle and third aunt. My little uncle and I. Zhou Yueping looked at Chu Xia eagerly. My nephew and daughter-in-law, but the more you look at it, the better it looks, let alone, our Xiaomi looks at 4 or 6, and the vision of choosing a wife is really vicious. Thank you, sister-in-law and uncle. At this time, apart from such words, what else can Chu Xia say? Speaking of engagement, the elders don't need to give her red envelopes, but it's not good for her not to accept anyone's money at the moment, so she just accepts it happily, and just buy it as a gift and return it back. Come here. Mrs. Zhou beckoned to Chu Xia. What orders does grandma have? Chu Xia came to Mrs. Zhou and asked boldly. Mrs. Zhou handed a red-skinned Mao anthology to Chu Xia. This is the wish of your grandpa and me. Study more in your free time. Yes, Chu Xia responded, took Mao Xian, and looked at the old lady Zhou respectfully. If grandma is fine, I will retire. Zhou Xiangping couldn't hold back for a moment, burst out laughing, and seeing that everyone was looking at her, she simply stepped forward and dragged Chu Xia away. Are you a grandma or an old queen? Chu Xia's face turned hot, and she thought to herself, doesn't she look like an old queen? It's still short of Mao Xian. Why does she have the feeling that the Empress Dowager sends her daughter to train her granddaughter-in-law? Mr. Zhou's facial muscles were also twitching. He didn't expect that his old lady would give such a gift. Well, he didn't mean that the gift was bad, but it's not appropriate to give it when getting engaged, right? The old lady even included him. Alas, it seems that getting the old wife to truly accept the little grandson-in-law is a long way to go. After the meal, everyone waited to chat and drink tea. Taking the opportunity of going to the bathroom, Zhao Yulong quietly opened the red envelope given by the Zhou family, took out the passbook and looked at the numbers on it. She was relieved and at the same time slightly disappointed. She hid in the toilet and tried to think back. Her daughter didn't seem to have done anything rude, and their husband and wife, elder brother and sister-in-law didn't seem to have done anything rude. Then, after going out again, Zhao Yulong felt a little distracted. Lin Bao he saw her mood change, and while others were not paying attention, asked in a low voice, what's wrong? First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 166. The second update arrives. Nuan will work hard to update another chapter. You son of a bitch, are you my son? Don't say it's my son when you go out in the future. It's shameful, it's too shameful. You just ignore what I say. I've made sure of everything for you. If Xiao Chuxia is willing to get engaged to Little B, that's because she was forced by Little B. If you use half of Little B's means, it's unknown who Xiao Chuxia will be engaged to. It's good now, people are engaged. Do you understand what engagement means? No one said anything when you chased Xiao Chuxia before, but if you chase after him now, you will be drowned by saliva. You said that you can see Xiao Chuxia openly and above board every day. How can you be so useless? A man can give up anything, except the woman he likes. You idiot, can you hesitate or give in to this kind of thing? You said that if you don't think about yourself, you have to think about Xiao Chuxia, right? If a woman marries the wrong person, she will suffer for the rest of her life. As for the old lady of the Zhou family, do you think she can like Xiao Chuxia? Humph, Don't let us go to the engagement banquet, say that we won't invite any outsiders, and invite them together when we get married. Fart. It's because I'm afraid that if I expose their family's mess, Xiao Chuxia will regret the marriage, right? You said, such a delicate and tender little girl, who wants to marry that big bastard little bee, is really blinded by a flower. In the Jing family, Grandpa Jing and Grandma Jing imprisoned Jing Zhe one by one, receiving Zhu Xingqin's storm-like attack, and Jing Mo Nian sat opposite her son. A look of sympathy. After venting for a long time, Zhu Xingqin found her son sitting there with a calm expression, as if the person she scolded was not him. Not to mention getting angry, and bouncing up with an "oh wow." Crackling is a crazy beating. Hit hard, this damn boy has thick skin and thick flesh, so he is not afraid of pain. That's right, Xiaoqin, you can hit hard, but don't hurt your hand. My father and mother are really the masters who fear the world will not be chaotic. Jing Mo Nian looked at the old man Jing and old lady Jing who were cheering. Speechless, she stroked her forehead. Xiaoqin, don't scratch Xiaoji's face, so that he can't see people. You think I'm stupid? I'll scratch his face. Zhu Xingqin shifted her firepower and looked at Jing Mo Nian. Jing Mo Nian, who knew his wife's temper well, quickly waved his hands. You misunderstood, I was afraid that your nails would be accidentally scratched. Xiao Zhe's face, besides, your nails were accidentally left on. If you broke it because you were angry with this kid, it would be too unworthy, wouldn't it? You're smart. Zhu Xingqin sat down angrily, seeing her son still indifferent. Even more angry, damn boy, do you have a heart? Mom Jingzhe was afraid that his mother would be angry. Hurry to appease, what can I say at this time? Actually, he paused. It's not that I haven't thought about cutting off my beard, but, I have no chance at all. I can see her every day, but in class, I can't just say something to her, can I? She has to train again after class, so I can't say anything, can I? After the training is over, I have to practice singing again at night. If I really find her out, I guess she won't have to stay in the army anymore. After her parents came over, I also wanted to go and have a look. Twice I bought something and went to look for it, but I heard Zhou Mikang's voice at the door. If I really went in, what would happen? When Zhu Xingqin heard this, she began to feel sorry for her son. She leaned forward and stroked his head. Mom didn't hurt you, did you? You said you child, why didn't you tell Mom earlier? If you made it clear, Mom would be so angry. Jingzhe looked helpless. You didn't even give me a chance to say it. Yes, you didn't give him a chance. Mr. Jing, MRS Jing and MRS Jing all nodded, testifying for their grandson. Dad, Mom, go back to your room and rest first. The daughter-in-law actually issued an order to drive them away. The old man and the old lady were unhappy, and looked at each other, and the old lady said with righteous indignation, you will bully Xiaozhe, we will accompany him. Jingzhe has black lines all over his head, is he accompanying him? Do you want to see his embarrassment? Jing Mo Nian sighed, okay, things have come to this point, don't blame Xiaozhe, I believe he is not feeling well, if you talk about it, it will only make him feel more uncomfortable. Let's forget it, I'm not reconciled. Zhu Xingqin frowned tightly, it's so rare that I fell in love with a good girl, but Lin Yangkao snatched her away, no way. What can I do if it doesn't work? They are all engaged, and they will get married in October. Do you want Xiaozhe to be unable to hold his head up in the yard in the future? Zhu Xingqin looked at her son unwillingly, Xiaozhe, what are you thinking? If you agree, Mom will help you bring Xiao Chuxia back. Mom. Jingzhe stared at Zhu Xingqin seriously, do you really like Chuxia, or is it because you are unwilling to be Aunt Lin's daughter-in-law in Chuxia? All of them, Zhu Xingqin admitted happily, I like Xiao Chuxia, but I'm not willing to let Lin Yangkai rob my daughter-in-law. You can't blame me if this happened. If you didn't come back all day and say how smart Xiao Chuxia is. How eager to learn, can I be so entangled? Mom, I like Lin Chuxia, but I'm a step behind Zhou Mikang. As for whether there will be a chance in the future, no one can say, but at this time, Mom, don't force me, okay? Stinky boy, you noticed that the circles of her son's eyes were a little red, and Zhu Xingqin couldn't speak immediately. Yes, the most uncomfortable thing at this time should be her son. What is she doing? Son, Mom won't force you. In short, whoever you marry in the future, as long as you are willing, Mom will. Jing Mo Nian shook his head amusedly. It was finally a rainy day. Mr. Jing and Mrs. Jing looked at each other and stood up together. Go and see the new wife. Dad, Mom. Jing Mo Nian anxiously grabbed the old man and the old lady. What are you going to do? Don't you know what we're going to do? Mrs. Jing rolled her eyes at him. It's fine if you don't accompany us, and pretend to be confused. Are you my son? Dad, Mom. Jing Mo Nian looked helpless. Don't make trouble for your elders, okay? Didn't your elders listen to what you said just now? What did you say? The old couple shook their heads together. We just watched Xiaoqin beat Xiaojie, and didn't pay attention to listening to you. Jing Mo Nian. Grandpa, Grandma, if you really love me, don't go to Zhou's house at this time. Anyway, I promise you that I will take the initiative to find you a granddaughter-in-law. The old lady Jing stared straight at Jing Jie. You must keep your word. Certainly. Old man, did you hear what Xiao Jie said? Old man Jing nodded, of course. The old lady Jing grinned, then let's go. Where to? Jing Jie and Jing Mo Nian spoke almost at the same time. Of course I'm going to Zhou's house. Where else do you think you're going? Zhu Xingqin said while supporting the old man and the old lady from left to right. Dad, Mom, I'll go with you. Jing Jie had a bitter look on his face. Mom, didn't you say no more trouble? Who said I'm going to make trouble? Zhu Xingqin glanced blankly at his son. Your grandparents have never seen Chu Xia, so they want to take advantage of this festive time to see what Chu Xia looks like, can't they? Mr. Jing, Mrs. Jing and Mrs. Jing all nodded, indicating that what their daughter-in-law said was exactly what they thought. The Jing father and son were completely defeated. They simply looked at each other, and waved together, whatever. Check the door carefully at home, and wait for us to come back. Zhu Xingqin patted the father and son with a smile, pulled Mr. Jing and Mrs. Jing away, and the father and son looked at each other with wry smiles, and sighed together. After thinking about it, Jing Mo Nian relieved his son and said, Xiao Jie, your mother and your grandparents are very few people, don't worry. I know. Jing Jie stroked his forehead helplessly. I regret it now. Why did I come back and tell my mother about Lin Chuxia? Sigh. Your mother and your Aunt Lin have been tossing and tossing for a lifetime. Can you not toss about this kind of thing? Jing Mo Nian patted his son. Silly boy, I guess you didn't even know what you were thinking at that time. Yes, Jing Jie nodded in agreement. At that time, I really didn't think about it, and by the time I realized it, it was already too late. Alas, she is indeed a magical girl. Dad, I told you that her family is in the countryside, but can you imagine that she can play the accordion to a professional level? In short, she is a mysterious girl. Jing Mo Nian just laughed. Now you also hope that your mother and your grandparents can change something. I know that's impossible. Jing Jie looked embarrassed, but I still can't help but look forward to it. Stupid boy, Jing Mo Nian shook his head and got up. I'm going to the study, or I can't do anything until your mother and your grandparents come back. Jing Jie sat without moving. I want to sit here for a while. My son is no worse than Zhou Jingping's son. After Jing Mo Nian finished speaking, he patted his son's shoulder vigorously with his big hand, turned and went into the study. Jing Jie smiled wryly. How could he be qualified to compete with Zhou Mi now? However, the fields of the two are different, and there is nothing comparable. A flash of light flashed in his mind, and he suddenly remembered the day when he saw Dean Su talking with Chu Xia's parents, so he got up suddenly and opened the study door. "Dad, I want to use the phone, you go out and have a rest first." "What are you talking behind my back?" Jing Mo Nian muttered, but got up cooperatively and gave the seat to his son. When Jing Zhe came out of the study, he found that his mother Zhu Xinyu and grandparents were already sitting in the living room, so he asked suspiciously, "Why did you come back so soon?" "It's late, Xiao Chuxia is gone." Zhu Xinyu shrugged helplessly. It's a pity. Even though he said so, the expression on his face was smiling. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 167. It's the third watch, Nuan is really too diligent. Looking at his mother's smiling face like a flower, Jing Zhe was very puzzled, and couldn't help asking, "Mom, what makes you so happy? Didn't he miss Lin Chuxia? He should be disappointed." "We're also very happy," Mrs. Jing, and Mrs. Jing grinned at Jing Zhe, revealing her toothless gums, looking as happy as she could be. Jing Zhe couldn't help being laughed at by several people. After thinking about it for a while, he looked at his mother suspiciously. "You guys, are you eavesdropping on my phone call?" "Did you call?" Zhu Xincan looked at him suspiciously. "Who did you call? It couldn't be Lin Chuxia, right? Come on, let mom and grandparents follow Lele. Too fake." Jing Zhe rolled his eyes, didn't bother to talk to her, turned and walked out. "I'm going back." Zhu Xincan smiled and waved her hands. Go back, if you need our help, just ask. Mom is in great shape, and your sister is also in great shape. Your grandfather and I are also in good health. We definitely have experience in serving people." Mrs. Jing couldn't let herself fall behind in this kind of thing. Jing Zhe caressed his forehead speechlessly. How could a person's personality change so much? In the past, grandparents were not as reliable as they are now, but now, why have they turned into children? Everyone says that people who have experienced life and death are more likely to understand life, and those who dare to understand the life of their grandparents are more and more reverse growth. "Little Zhe, are you back?" The moment the door was opened, Jing Zhe's older sister, Jing Yi, rushed in. Seeing his younger brother, his eyes were full of joy. "Damn girl, why did you come back? Waiting for you." "The day lily is cold." Before Jing Zhe had time to speak, his mother was already scolding there. Jing Yi dragged her younger brother and complained as she walked in, "Mom, you asked me to come here as soon as you called. Do you think I'm a scud? Today is Sunday, so Yu Hui can't drive you here." Zhu Xincan snorted coldly. "You can see now, it's not a business deal. If he had his eyes on you first, would you dare to do this?" "Grandpa, Grandma, come here, give me a kiss." Jing Yi stepped forward and hugged Mrs. Jing, and Mrs. Jing and kissed each other on the cheeks. After greeting her father, she looked at Zhu Xincan. "Mom, don't be picky. Yu Hui worked overtime today, and my mother-in-law suffered from insomnia last night and her heart was uncomfortable. I can't leave her alone and come out, can I?" "Where's your father-in-law?" "My father-in-law went to see his comrades in arms this morning." "No, as soon as he went back, I hurried over." Jing Yi stepped forward and hugged Zhu Xincan. "Did you have a conflict with Aunt Lin again?" "No." He. Jing Yi said with a funny face, "Mom, you look like a gunpowder keg. Except for Aunt Lin, who else has the ability to make you angry like this?" Zhu Xincan squinted at her daughter. "You have no conscience. You only have your in-laws' family in your heart. Don't you remember that your mother's family has grandparents? There are parents, mothers, and younger brothers." Jing Yi put her arms around Zhu Xincan and patted her. "Mom, it's fine to act coquettishly. If I continue to find fault like this, I'll go back. Let me just say, the water splashed by the married girl can't even listen to my nagging now. When I get old, I think I'll hide away in disgust. Mom. Jingyi smiled wryly and looked at Jing Mo Nian, Dad, who messed with Mom. Before, Mom and Auntie Lin had conflicts, and they never made excuses like this. Jing Monian pointed to Jing Zhe's position, ask your brother. How would I know? Jing Zhe quickly waved his hands, just now, our mother was still smiling like a flower. As soon as my sister entered the door, my mother's face quickly turned dark. Who knows what happened to her? Stinky boy, do you have a conscience? Zhu Xingkan sat up straight and stared at her son. If it wasn't for helping you, I wouldn't need to do this, brat, I don't love you for nothing. What's going on here? Jingyi looked around, stop playing charades with me, okay. Mom, you're calling me back in such a hurry, isn't it just to amuse me? Who has the spare time to tease you? Zhu Xingkan rolled her eyes, and led her daughter to the bedroom. Mom will tell you alone, I'm anxious to kill that damn boy, huh? Jing Zhe shook his head helplessly, Mom, then I'm leaving. I think you dare. Zhu Xingkan turned her head and glared at her son, your sister hasn't come home for so long, are you embarrassed to leave without talking to her? If it weren't for you bullying sister, can I not say a few words to her? Jing Zhe thought so in his heart, but he didn't dare to say it out of his mouth. It really angered his mother, and he couldn't bear it anymore. If you dare to sneak away, I will go to the teacher to find you. Zhu Xingkan, who entered the room and closed the door, suddenly opened the door again and warned her son viciously. Jing Zhe waved his hand, I won't go, Mom, don't worry. The moment the door closed, Jing Zhe got up quickly, and cupped his hands at Mrs. Jing and Mrs. Jing, Grandpa, Grandma, help me, don't say anything, Dad, I'm leaving. Ziokan, Xiaoji won't listen to you and wants to run away. As soon as Jing Zhe took a step, Mr. Jing and Mrs. Jing shouted at the top of their voices. Jing Zhe paused slightly and quickly ran out at a faster speed. When I opened the door, I happened to see the shaking door leaf. Damn boy, you wait, you will regret it. Hearing the faint roar of his mother coming from behind, Jing Zhe didn't stop at all. If he regrets it or not, he should hide the matter at hand first. Yes, as long as he is out of the house, he has nothing to be afraid of. In the living room, Mr. Jing and Mrs. Jing spread their hands at Zhu Xingkan, we stopped you for you, why don't you run faster? Jing Yi, who was walking out with her, smiled helplessly. With these three teasing elders, it's no wonder her younger brother didn't run away. Why are you laughing? Zhu Xingkan turned her head and glanced at her daughter, you have to worry about your brother's affairs. Anyway, this year, I want to marry a daughter-in-law. I must marry a daughter-in-law. You must not fall behind Lin Yang Kaiu. Mom, it's not something I have the final say on. Can you explain it to me? Jingyi smiled wryly, besides, it's more reliable for you to tell Xiao Zhe than to me. Humph, if I tell him it works, why don't I call you back? Zhu Xingkan suddenly remembered that she hadn't said anything about calling her daughter back, so she pulled her to sit down and babbled for a long time. Mom. Jingyi stared at her mother speechlessly after listening to her, they are already engaged, what else do you have in mind? You said that you didn't persuade Xiaoji a little bit, but also urged him to continue attacking Lin Chuxia. Do you love him or harm him? Damn girl, did you come back to help me or to scold me? Zhu Xingkan glared at her daughter dissatisfied, I don't plan to come back for something. Jingyi smiled wryly and looked at Jing Mo Nian, Dad, why don't you persuade Mom? Just let her mess around like this? This is something related to my brother's reputation, how can this be done? Do you think I can persuade your mother? Jing Mo Nian spread his hands, it would be nice if she didn't force me to help Xiao Zhe chase girls, but you still expect her to listen to me? It's not the first day you are your mother's daughter, If you ask me such a question, tisk tisk, it seems that your mother is right, a married girl is really splashing water. Jing Yi. Come on, her father has already been deeply infected by her mother, it's just for fear that the world will not be chaotic. What can she do? Crazy with them, or continue to be sober? By the way, her little brother. This is the key person. Thinking so, Jing Yi waved her hands and walked out. Dad, Mom, I still have something to do at home. Let's go first and come back to see you. Damn girl, why is it so difficult to use you? Lin Xingqin's angry words were blocked by Jing Yi at the door. She hurried out of the yard, got on her bicycle and rushed to Division A. Not long after sitting at Zhou's house after dinner, Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan got up and said goodbye. The reason was that they had to go back to their hometown the next day, and they had to go back early to pack their things so as not to miss something in a hurry the next day. The reason was very good, and Zhou's family couldn't force them to stop them, so they sent them out of the door together, and Zhou Mikang was responsible for sending them back to the guest house. When they were parting, Lin Yangkai held Chu Xia's hand and repeatedly told them to come home when they were resting. Have a meal. After Chu Xia clearly agreed, Lin Yangkai let go of Chu Xia's hand and let her get into the car. When the car drove away, Zhou Xiangping smiled and grabbed Lin Yangkai's shoulder. Mom, you should shed a few tears right now. Go. Lin Yangkai slapped the girl away, and gave her a blank look. Is it because Mom has another painful person? Are you jealous? I will be jealous of my sister-in-law. Zhou Xiangping also rolled her eyes at her, and then lowered her voice. Mom, remember what you said today, and when you get jealous in the future, use it to persuade yourself. Lin Yangkai pushed her little daughter in disgust. Go back to your husband's house. Can I understand that Mom has become angry? Before Lin Yangkai could react, Zhou Xiangping had already run away with a smile. Damn girl, don't come back if you have the ability. Zhou Jiping took Lin Yangkai's arm amusedly. Mom, my sister has such a temper, why are you angry with her? But, you are really clever today, hee hee. Lin Yangkai looked proud. Of course, I can think that Zhu Xingqin can't worry about it with her toes. Huh, she has never won a fight against me in this life. She is just a fool, and she is happy by herself. How about it? My son just beat her son and made her mad. Zhou Jiping has black lines all over her head. Could it be that her mother and Aunt Zhu are the legendary friends of Huangzai? First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 168. One more. Father, mother, uncle, aunt, the weather is fine today, let's go around and have dinner outside. Okay. After the car drove for a while, Zhou Mikang turned back to ask Zhao Yulan and the others for their opinions. No need, Zhao Yulan refused without even thinking about it. I have to catch the train tomorrow morning, so I have to pack up my things as soon as possible. In fact, there are enough commutes. My parents and uncles and aunts have opened their eyes. Zhao Yushan answered with a smile. That's right, sitting in such a nice car and seeing so many things, we will show off when we go back. Is it for you to show off? Li Aiwan rolled her eyes at her husband. You look very energetic at home, but when you go out, why do you look like a fool? Thinking of his performance in the Zhou family, Zhao Yushan blushed, but his mouth was unconvinced. You are ignorant and fearless. I don't have the same knowledge as you. Li Aiwan laughed and trembled all over. I've been out for a few days, I've become more capable, and I can't speak in the same way. Zhao Yushan, if you have the ability, you can talk like this when you go back. I don't think our father takes a pipe. Smash you to death. Thinking of her father's character, Zhao Yulan also laughed. Brother, if you dare to speak like that in front of Dad, Dad can really hit you on the head with a pipe. Hey. Zhao Yushan rubbed his head and smiled. With you all by my side, I can't pretend to be a learned man in front of my nephew and son-in-law. Li Aiwan couldn't help but rolled her eyes at him. Just like you, the 3 sentences revealed your true colors, and you still want to pretend to be a learned man. I'll just say a few words. Is it okay? Puff. This time, even Chu Xia couldn't help but burst out laughing. In my heart, I am very grateful to my uncle and aunt. She had already seen that her parents had been trying to support her smile, so she didn't want to ask more questions in front of Zhou Mikang, so she thought about going to the guest house to talk about it. But the atmosphere along the way was really uncomfortable. With the coordination of my uncle and aunt, it was finally much better. She wasn't worried that Zhou Mikang would be unhappy, but she had vaguely guessed the reason. Therefore, I don't want Zhou Mikang to mistakenly think that she married him purely for economic reasons because of this reason. People's hearts are long, and she could clearly see Mikang's protection of her last week at the engagement banquet. Although she didn't fall in love with the other party just because of this, she didn't want to stab the other party in the heart for no reason. It's because her parents care too much about her. That's why she couldn't turn the corner for a while, but she believed it. There should be something inside about this matter, the Zhou family, it's not that close. Zhou Mikang sent the family to the guest house. After chatting for a few more words, they left, saying that they would come back to have dinner with them in the evening. Father, Mother, the Zhou family has reduced the gift money. Isn't that right? As soon as Zhou Mikang went out, Chu Xia asked the question in his heart. Yes, Zhao Yulan nodded. He took out his passbook. Let's take a look. Chu Xia took a glance at it, and handed it to Zhao Yushan. Li Aiwan poked her head to look, and frowned. What does this mean? Even if it is subtracted, it can't be subtracted like this. Seriously. On the way, I saw that the expressions of the two of you were not right, so I thought that you didn't refund the gift money. Maybe there was something wrong with this aspect, and we were afraid that Xiao Zhou might misunderstand. If I had known this was the case, I should have misunderstood him. It was too much. I don't believe that he didn't see that you were unhappy, but he didn't even ask a word. Is the Zhou family too bullying this week? Okay, just you can talk about it. Zhao Yushan glanced at his wife, then sighed slightly. Yulan and Baohe are both parents, I can understand your feelings. But you should think this way, they also gave us Chuxia bracelets and red envelopes. If you add it up, it's not a small number. Yes, what the Zhou family did is a bit dishonest. But we can't get pissed because of this incident. You just think like this, in our hometown, if we find a good family, we will only give these gift money. Maybe, the Zhou family wanted to keep the money until they got married and then give it a share. Zhao Yushan slapped his forehead fiercely. I see, didn't the Zhou family want to get Lin Shu and Aunt Lin to come and make an engagement too? Remember what the two of you said? You said that Chu Xia's affairs are all up to you. If you really invite people from the family, the result may not be what everyone wants. The Zhou family is not stupid, and they will definitely understand what's going on after hearing what you said. They are also afraid that if they give you all the money, it will be difficult to go back and make a big deal. Are we that kind of people? Zhao Yulan looked unhappy. No matter how much we charge, we plan to save it for Chu Xia, and besides, even if they really give so much, Baohe and I can't take it. We have discussed everything well and will refund them. Brother and sister-in-law, you should know that Baohe and I are not interested in the money, we are interested in the Zhou family's affection for Chuxia. It is one thing for them to confiscate it if they give it to us, but it is another time if they don't give it to us. Something happened. That's right, today Xiao Zhou's family gave Chu Xia a very heavy gift, but this feeling is different. Big brother and sister-in-law, you guys can understand what I mean, right? Understood. Li Aiwan hugged Zhao Yulan and patted her. I've known you for a long time, and we all know Baohe's temperament. You are explaining this to us now, but you don't take us as real people. Of course we have the same thoughts as you, but when things have come to this point, we should think about the best. is it possible that we can really divorce? Then we are also famous, don't you think? Of course we can't withdraw the marriage, Lin Beohee said firmly. In that case, don't they really think that we are selling girls? I'll think about this matter. Let's wait and see. If Xiaozhou treats Chu Xia well, then we will let the two children get married. If it is not good for Chu Xia, no matter how big an official he is, I will not be afraid of him. You know what's wrong? Zhao Yulan gave Lin Beohee a blank look. When I was in Zhou's house, I was always in a state of agitation, and I was afraid that you would reveal this matter once you were wrong. What did I do wrong? This, we don't understand it, so don't talk nonsense, and, I think the analysis of the elder brother makes sense. People, they must be worried that it will be difficult for us to go back, so we do this. When we get married in early summer, it is better to help us bit by bit than all at once. The Zhou family must think so. You can see how Xiao Zhou and his mother protect us in early summer. We have opinions in early summer. Okay, let's just wait and see. Zhao Yulan turned her gaze to her daughter. Xia, I have a good mind. If you feel something is wrong, you can write to us. Mother and father will make decisions for you. Chu Xia smiled and nodded. Mother, I know, I won't let myself be wronged. She brought up the topic because she wanted to let her parents express the grievance in her heart so as not to hurt her body. In fact, what she originally thought was similar to Uncle's analysis. But the most wrong thing about this matter is that the Zhou family did this without an explanation. No matter what the reason is, it seems that this is not suitable. She will wait a few days to see. I believe that the Zhou family will not. He is such an unreliable family, otherwise, it would be impossible for him to leave his important imprint on the territory of the Republic. After the matter was settled, Zhao Yulan and Lin Beohee felt much better, and when they looked at the big 600 yuan on the passbook, they felt less uncomfortable. Zhao Yushan told Zhao Yulan and Lin Beohee with a serious expression, when we see Xiao Zhou again, don't be emotional. If you want to marry Chu Xia, we have to think more about Chu Xia. Brother, I know, Zhao Yulan said. Brother, sister-in-law, thank you, Lin Beohee said. Zhao Yushan and Li Aiwan were taken aback for a moment, and then they understood. You, Zhao Yushan slapped Lin Beohee on the shoulder. Usually you are honest like a cat, but when something happens in early summer, you become a tiger. But brother-in-law, I just like your temperament. I used to think that Yulan was aggrieved when she married you, but now I see that she is not at all aggrieved. This is her blessing. Hey, Lin Beohee laughed happily. Zhao Yulan hugged her daughter. Her eyes were red. Xia, my parents and uncles and aunts are leaving tomorrow. You are here by yourself. You have to be careful. You have a lot of things to do with Yuki Liang brother and Zioxian discuss. As for the Zhou family, try to go as little as possible. Unmarried daughters always go to her husband's house, and people will look down on them. Mother, I know, don't worry, I won't let myself suffer, Chu Xia said while stretching out her hand. Mother, and I try to wrestle your wrist, I have gained a lot of strength. This child Li Aiwan touched Chu Xia's head, and her eye circles turned red. Xia, your father and mother are not easy, you should behave well, let your parents live a good life, and make those jokers in your village think I am blind myself. Auntie, my parents will need you and uncle to take care of them in the future. They are soft-tempered. If someone bullies them, uncle and aunt will help them. You still need to tell me this, Li Aiwan sighed. Oh, I told you to let your parents live there, but they are still not happy. If they were in Xiaolin village, who would dare to bully them? Boom boom. Come here, Chu Xia responded and ran towards the door, opened it, and saw Jing Zhe standing at the door with a smile. Mr. Jing, why are you here? Chu Xia greeted with a smile. I heard that my uncle and aunt are here, so I'll come over and have a look. While speaking, Jing Zhe had already entered the door, put the things in his hand on the table, and turned to greet them. Chu Xia looked at him wonderingly. Hey, how do you know which are my parents and which are my uncle and aunt? You can see it just by looking at it, Jingzhe said as he sat down in an empty seat. I wanted to visit my uncle and aunt a few days ago, but seeing that my uncle and aunt are too busy, I don't have the nerve to bother you. You're too polite, Zhao Yulan smiled awkwardly. Are you Chu Xia's teacher? First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 169. The second watch arrives. Do you know how pitiful Nuan Niu is? I gnawed off a piece of my front tooth. I went to fill the tooth today. I can't fill it. I can only make braces. I drilled all afternoon. It's too miserable. Is there any? Yeah, I'm in charge of the culture class of the medical team now, and I can be regarded as Chu Xia's teacher. Jingzhe smiled at Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe with gentle eyes. Uncles and aunts have come all the way, I should pay a visit. This is the time. Come here, I am really ashamed. Zhao Yulan looked embarrassed. We should visit teacher Zheng. Didn't Chu Xia cause trouble for teacher Zheng? No, Chu Xia is very smart, has a wide range of knowledge, and her grades are among the top among the students. It is my honor to have such a student. When Jingzhe spoke, Zhao Yulan's back was straightened, her hands were neatly placed on her knees, like a primary school student in class. Chu Xia, who was helping Jingzhe to pour water, caught sight of her mother's appearance, with the black hair, and turned to look at her father, who was similar to her mother. Even his legs were shaking. Your legs are shaking? As for Chu Xia is a smart kid. She was young when she was in school, she was playful, and she was able to get in the top of the class every time. Now that she's older, she's sensible. As long as she works hard, ordinary kids are no match for her. Sweeping away the reticence in Zhou's house, Zhao Yushan started to chatter. When Zhao Yushan's words fell, Jingzhe echoed with a smile. What Uncle Zhao said is that Chu Xia works so hard, others are really no match for her. Teacher Jing, drink water. Chu Xia brought the water to Jingzhe. After taking the bait, don't praise me like my uncle. I know how much I am, so you can praise me again. My father and mother take it seriously. I don't want to make them more hopeful and disappointed. Big. Jingzhe thanked him, took a sip of water, and said with a smile, you are quite modest, but what I said is the truth. Your current results are indeed top-notch among the team members. As for the future, it depends on luck and opportunity. Then he turned to Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe, uncle and aunt. If I say that, you don't object. I don't object, I don't object. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe waved their hands together, with happy faces, saying that their daughter is good, and they love to hear it the most. Uncle. Jingzhe's gaze suddenly stopped on Lin Baohe's leg. Is your leg a little uncomfortable? No, no, Lin Baohe hurriedly waved his hands. My legs are fine, nothing uncomfortable, but comfortable. According to Chu Xia's understanding of Jingzhe, knowing that he would never talk nonsense, he stepped forward to tease Lin Baohe. Father, let Mr. Jing check if there is anything to do. He is the chief physician of 401 General Hospital. He is better than the experts and doctors in our provincial hospital. After this village, there will be no such shop, and Mr. Jing will deliver it to your door. What else do you deny? Xia, I know teacher Jing is very good. But Dad's leg is really fine, it doesn't hurt at all. Did I ask if Dad's leg hurts? Chu Xia looked at Lin Baohe suspiciously. Dad, your leg hurts, doesn't it? Baohe, your leg hurts. Zhao Yushan stood up in shock. When did it happen? Why don't I know? How long has it been in pain? Does it hurt right now? Li Aiwan tugged at Zhao Yushan. Okay, don't make trouble. Why are you acting like you are a doctor? She said while looking at Zhao Yulan. Yulan, you know about this, right? At this point, Zhao Yulan also knew that it was impossible to keep it a secret, so she sighed softly. Yes, but the pain is not severe. A doctor has seen it, and said that a small doctor can cure it. Chu Xia suddenly realized, father and mother refused to go around because of the pain in daddy's leg, right? The silence of Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe gave Chu Xia the answer. How can you do this? Chu Xia stared at the couple angrily. You keep saying that I am everything to you, and you want to protect me. Without a healthy body, how can you protect me? Xia, don't be angry. Zhao Yulan anxiously grabbed her daughter's arm. It's not a serious problem. Chu Xia interrupted her, forget it, I'll settle this account later. Turning to look at Jing Zhe, Dr. Jing, please check my father first, we will listen to you on how to treat it. Jing Zhe responded, let Lin Baohe lie on the bed, and tried his hand on his leg. According to Lin Baohe's pain reflex, he confirmed what Dean Su said in his heart. Fortunately, it's not too serious. There are two reasons why Uncle Lin feels the pain now. One is that the weather has been relatively humid in the past few days, and the other is that he has been a little overworked these days. However, this disease cannot be delayed. In case of true necrosis, the femoral head can only be replaced by surgery. This will not only suffer but also cost a lot of money. The key is that if it really develops to that stage, it will be impossible to return to its original state, and it may even be possible. Some lame. When he said this, Zhao Yulan was terrified. Dr. Jing, that doctor told us that it will be the same as when it is cured. Jing Zhe nodded, that's right, she didn't lie to you, but the premise is that if the treatment is done earlier, there will be no deviations in the operation, but considering the actual situation, treatment in a military hospital is definitely much safer than treatment in a small local hospital. Then, Zhao Yulan hesitated. Go back and treat it, Lin Baohe insisted. Her father? Zhao Yulan was a little confused. Father, do you want to lame a leg? Xia, Dr. Jing said that if it is serious, you will become lame. Isn't it not serious now? Xia, our family's conditions are here, and it's outrageous to stay here. In front of Jing Zhe, Lin Baohe couldn't talk about the Zhou family's affairs, so he secretly persuaded his daughter. The military hospital charge is not high, and I am now a soldier of Division A, and the family members of the military can enjoy half the price. Maybe it is cheaper than in a small hospital. Is this operation troublesome? Zhao Yushan asked Jing Zhe. It's not troublesome, now you only need to fill up the medicine, and you can be discharged from the hospital in 3 to 5 days, but the specifics still depend on the recovery. Can I accompany the bed alone? Zhao Yushan asked again. Yes, the patient is basically free to move around. However, it must cooperate with drip treatment, and the doctor will check the recovery status in time. Therefore, he must be hospitalized. That's how it is. Zhao Yushan looked at Lin Baohe, don't be stubborn. It's a good thing to be able to enjoy the glory of a daughter. I will go back with your sister-in-law first, and you will go back with Yulan when your legs feel better. Let's go back with our eldest brother and sister-in-law, anyway. Zhao Yushan interrupted Lin Baohe, who still wanted to argue, listen to me, if you treat me as the big brother, then listen to me, our health is more important than anything else, Chu Xia and Yulan have to point at you. Brother. Lin Baohe winked at Zhao Yushan anxiously. It means that it's not good to talk about the Zhou family's affairs in front of Dr. Jing, and tell him not to make any more trouble. Seeing Lin Baohe's eagerness to jump into the well, Jing Zhe couldn't help laughing. Uncle Lin is worried that the Zhou family will find out, and he's not interested. Ah, Lin Baohe stared blankly at Jing Zhe, speechless. Not long after Jing Zhe left, Zhou Mikang came, with a lot of things in his hands. I bought some special products, and my parents and uncles and aunts will give them away when they go back. Xiaozhou. I've troubled you. Zhao Yulan smiled sheepishly, look at us here, we always keep you busy. Zhou Mikang laughed in a rare way, mother, isn't this what you should do? A son-in-law is a son. From now on, you will have a son and a daughter. Zhao Yulan was even more embarrassed. Looking at Zhou Mikang with nowhere to put his hands and feet, yes, a son-in-law is a son. Your father and I are really blessed, haha. In a blink of an eye, we have both sons and daughters, haha, what a blessing. Chu Xia stroked her forehead quietly. Is her mother guilty? She spoke incoherently, but she also said with some guilt, it seems that Zhou Mikang should really not be hiding this matter from her, but her father is determined, if the Zhou family finds out, he won't treat her here. Forget it, oh, forget it, even if the Zhou family is unhappy when they find out, she can explain it carefully. In fact, father didn't think about it clearly. If this matter was really hidden from the Zhou family, it seemed that it would be difficult for her to do it. However, at this time, she could also understand what father was thinking. He felt that the Zhou family didn't take his daughter seriously, so he didn't want to touch them. But vaguely, she felt that Jingzhe's visit today was very strange. How could he see something wrong with her father's leg at a glance? You know, although she didn't study medicine before, she still knows the basic medical knowledge. The initial symptoms of femoral head necrosis are not obvious. An experienced doctor can tell the general idea from the patient's walking posture when the disease occurs, but his father sitting there at the time, the performance was not obvious at all. Okay. Forget it, no matter what, it's a good thing to find out in advance, shook his head, and got rid of the messy thoughts in his mind, but Chu Xia found that Zhou Mikang was asking Zhao Yulan with a puzzled face, what happened? No, nothing. Nothing happened. Zhao Yulan's head shook like a drum. But why do I feel that my mother is always absent-minded when she talks? I just said clearly that I would pick you up at 7 o'clock in the morning, but you said that you can eat anything. Zhao Yulan smiled wryly, thinking that I won't be able to see Chu Xia tomorrow night. My mind is in a mess. I really don't understand what you said. Thinking about it, Zhou Mikang didn't ask any more questions, and helped put the things back together, and took everyone to the restaurant where they ate last time. Early the next morning, Zhou Mikang showed up at the door of the guest house at 7 o'clock on time. Zhao Yulan and Zhao Yushan were already waiting outside with their luggage. When the car stopped, they rushed to move things into the car. The train ticket was at 8:10, and it was only 7:30 when the group arrived there. They sat in the waiting room and chatted. Seeing that the check-in began, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe drove Zhou Mikang and Chuxia back. Father, mother, I bought platform tickets. I'll take Chuxia back when I get you on the bus. Zhou Mikang took out 2 platform tickets to show Father Xiaxia's mother as he spoke. Helplessness flashed across Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe's downcast eyes. Alas, well, just give it away, at worst they will work harder. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 170. As soon as it arrives, it's so hot. Ask for support and encouragement. On the way back, Chu Xia was silent all the time. One was guilty, and the other was that she didn't know what to say to Zhou Mikang. Cities in this era are not like the later generations, where you can see high-rise buildings. Generally speaking, even if the 5 or 6-story buildings are tall, most of them are bungalows. The advantage of this is that the field of vision is wide. All kinds of uncomfortable and awkward. Chu Xia moved her eyes out of the window, pretending to enjoy the scenery. The sky is so blue now, and the air is so fresh. Thinking about it, I have been here for nearly a year, and I have never relaxed and enjoyed all of this. After that, I couldn't help but smile, and I couldn't even eat enough. Well, where do you want to enjoy the scenery? Feeling a pain in her arm, she turned her head, and Zhou Mikang was holding a handful of candies. Eat it. Oops. What about when she was a child? He wanted to refuse, but what he gave was her favorite sorghum yi, soft and chewy sorghum yi, which was completely different from what she used to eat. Facing the delicious temptation, he couldn't help stretching out his paws. Jo Mikang frowned, 2 hands. Don't eat, Chu Xia retracted her hand with her mouth puffed out. It's not that there is no candy wrapper, and it doesn't hinder eating when you pick it up on the ground. Does it need such a rude attitude? Anyway, she has plenty of pocket money, and when she has a chance to go out on the street, she buys a big bag, so she doesn't appreciate him giving it. Snort. You are not big, but you have a good temper. Jo Mikang slowed down his tone. Eating candy is a good mood, I know you can buy it yourself. But the water can't quench your near thirst, take it. Well, for the sake of his conscience. Don't bother with him, Chu Xia pouted and stretched out his hand to hold the candy on his lap, pushed a piece of sugar into his mouth, chewed, squinted his eyes happily, and pushed another piece. Seeing her eating happily like a little squirrel, a certain domineering man unconsciously smiled. You have nothing to ask me. Huh? Chu Xia stared at Jo Mikang suspiciously, his mouth was still chewing. There was some sugar mud on the corner of his mouth. Jo Mikang's heart softened at the sight of that cute little appearance, and he stretched out his hand unconsciously. Chu Xia reflexively turned his head to the side. What are you doing? Jo Mikang simply stopped the car, stretched out his hand and turned her head. Chu Xia's eyes widened instantly, and before she could get angry, Jo Mikang had already wiped the sugar mud from the corner of her mouth, and smiled faintly. What a child. The other party's rare gentle gesture. Chu Xia was completely stunned, his big eyes blinked, and then blinked again, his face was full of disbelief. Jo Mikang glanced at her. Frowning, if I don't train you, you won't get used to it, right? That's right, this is the captain's tube. Call. Take a long breath of relief, there is something in early summer. Finally, I saw the feeling of an acquaintance again. Of course it's best not to train me, but don't act like a sneer like an owl. It's quite scary. He just couldn't be nicer to her. Listen, what are you talking about? He smiled at her kindly, and it turned into an owl sneer. Forget it, maybe there was something wrong with his attitude towards her before, and besides, this is still a child at all. If he really cares about her, it would be meaningless. About gift money, you don't want to know what's going on. Gift money, Chu Xia was taken aback for a moment, then realized, oh, you just asked me if I had anything to ask you, and you just wanted to explain it to me, right? Jo Mikang didn't say anything, obviously acquiescing. Chu Xia continued, I think there must be a reason for you to do what you do. If you want to tell me, you will naturally tell me. If you don't want to tell me, I guess it's useless for me to ask. Jo Mikang took a look at her. Are you angry? No. Chu Xia shook his head without thinking. Anyway, you have promised to hand over your salary to me in the future, and you will support my parents with me. As long as you don't go back on your word, I have nothing to be angry about. My salary will be given to you, but this month's salary is gone. After a pause, Jo Mikang said, I didn't think much about taking out the gift money last time. Later, when the family chatted, I felt that our father and mother's character, if they really gave them the gift money, it is estimated that they will save the money after they go back, and they will not move a penny. The purpose of giving them this money is to make them live comfortably, so what's the point of saving it? So after discussing it, I only gave them a little pocket money, and used the rest to build a house. When our parents get home, the foundation will probably be laid, and in a month or two, you will be able to live in the new house, and you don't have to worry about the summer heat in the old house. It turned out that the money was used to build a house for her family. Chu Xia stared at Jo Mikang stupidly, not knowing what to say for a while. He didn't say it before, because he didn't want her parents to say something grateful, right? Or, also want to give her parents a surprise. He must have seen his parents' unhappiness and their slightly colder attitude than before, but he didn't say a word until he sent them away. The problem is, her parents didn't go back. Originally, her father didn't want the Joe family to know about his condition because he had a grudge against the matter and didn't want to gain the favor of the Joe family. Now it seems that this approach is really ridiculous. If the Joe family knew from other people's mouths that her father was hospitalized here and did not go back, where would they put their face? Thinking of this, Chusia swallowed her saliva. There is something I want to tell you, I hope you don't get angry. Joe Mikang expressed that he was very happy that Chusia didn't say thank you to him, and his facial expression softened. Say it? My father and my mother didn't go back to their hometown. Chusia glanced at Joe Mikang's face before continuing, my father is sick. Crunch. With a sudden break, Joe Mikang frowned and looked at Chusia. Where are they now? But for Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe, as soon as Chusia and Joe Mikang left, the two quickly got off the train, and Zhao Yushan and Li Aiwan helped take the things back. As soon as the two reached the exit, Jingzhe greeted them, carried the old man, and rushed to the 401 General Hospital for examination and hospitalization. Jingzhe provided one-stop service. Lin Baohe's condition is the same as what Dean Su and Jingzhe said, not serious, but if it develops further, there will definitely be endless troubles. The operation will be carried out on the second day. On the same day, the body will be given an intravenous infusion to recuperate. As a well-known orthopedic specialist in 401, Jingzhe does not undergo such operations, but this time, as if he was about to face a major operation, he repeatedly told his assistants and nurses to do their homework in advance. In 401, Jingzhe is definitely the Prince Charming in the hearts of the nurses. During the period of being seconded to Division A, it is conceivable how much everyone misses him. Seeing that he cared so much about Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe's surgery, the nurses thought that Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan were his important relatives, so it was spring-like warmth to Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe. Seeing the other three patients in the same ward, they were taken aback for a while. Naturally, they are not ordinary people living in this kind of ward, but how did the nurses treat them so attentively? Therefore, originally because Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe were dressed in a bit of shabby clothes and didn't want to talk to their fellow patients, they started chatting with them intentionally or unintentionally. Sister, brother, what kind of disease is this? The old lady on the second bed asked with a smile. Zhao Yulan replied politely, the femoral head is a bit bad, just put some medicine and it will be fine. The third bed was a woman in her 30s, she followed Zhao Yulan's words and quickly replied, that's not a big problem, it's like a normal person when it's all right. Zhao Yulan nodded, well, that's what the doctor said too. Aunt and uncle are relatives of Dr. Jing, right? The girl on the fourth bed spoke in a soft voice, which made Zhao Yulan unconsciously feel fond of her own daughter. No, Dr. Jing is my daughter's teacher. Zhao Yulan is definitely a good example of answering every question. Your daughter? The young girl who was just about to ask where Zhao Yulan's daughter is, saw Jingzhe appearing at the door, quickly stopped talking, and greeted with a smile, hello, Dr. Jing. Jingzhe nodded at her, and went straight to Lin Baohe's bed. Uncle, don't you feel any discomfort? Lin Baohe wanted to sit up and answer, but Jingzhe held him down and said, Uncle, you treat me as an outsider again, don't you? Lie down quickly, and if the needle comes out, Uncle will have to take it again. Dr. Jing, I really have troubled you too much, Zhao Yulan didn't know what to say with a grateful expression on her face. Look, just after talking about Uncle, Auntie is being polite to me again. I am Chuxia's teacher, and I should take care of you. Auntie, sit down quickly. Jingzhe turned to look at Lin Baohe. Uncle may feel a little bit in his heart later. Wei Wei feels a little flustered, that's a normal reaction to the medicine, don't worry. Lin Baohe nodded. Well, I wanted to say a few polite words, but felt that it was a bit redundant, so I simply smiled and stopped talking. As long as my daughter is not involved, Lin Baohe will absolutely cherish words like gold. Is the bottle already hung? It's pretty fast. Zhu Xingkan spun in like a gust of wind, and grabbed Zhao Yulan familiarly. I'm Jingzhe's mother. Hello, hello. Zhao Yulan stood up in a panic, with a look of bewilderment, and Lin Baohe also became uncomfortable. Such a minor illness, how could Dr. Jing's mother be alarmed? Huh? Uncle and aunt, why are you here? Jingzhe, Aunt Zhu. The one who came in now, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe knew each other. They met yesterday at the engagement banquet, Chu Xia's uncle and sister-in-law Yu Tao. At this moment, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe wanted to find a mask to cover their faces, so how did they bump into each other? Look at this whole thing. By the way, I seem to have heard yesterday that Yu Tao's mother was also hospitalized here. Oops, why did they forget? First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 171. The second update is here. Thank you for your support. Miss you. Zhao Yulan's face was full of uneasiness, and for a while, she couldn't find any suitable words to explain her current behavior. Yu Tao had already entered the ward, and smiled politely at Zhu Xingkan, who was standing beside Zhao Yulan. Hello, Aunt Zhu. After being hit by Yu Tao, Zhu Xingkan was still a little guilty, but her desire to help her son gained the upper hand, so she smiled and gave the order to leave the guest. Tao, just take good care of your mother. Mom and Dad are here in early summer. Woolen cloth. Yu Tao is very clear about the relationship between her mother-in-law and Zhu Xingkan, and Yu Tao also knows that Zhu Xingkan wants to be a daughter-in-law in early summer, so how can Zhu Xingkan get her wish easily at this time? She smiled sweetly. Aunt Zhu likes to joke around. The affairs of the younger siblings are the affairs of the Zhou family. If you trouble Aunt Zhu, where will we put our Zhou family's face in the future? As he spoke, he looked at Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe. Auntie and uncle, I am also a daughter-in-law, so I understand your thoughts very well, but I am worried that Chuxia is not married yet, and if I bother my in-laws' family too much, I will not be taken seriously, right? Your two elders are really worrying too much. As the daughter-in-law of the Zhou family, I can say very responsibly that grandparents and parents-in-law are definitely not that kind of people. If you want them to help, they will feel that you don't treat them as outsiders at all. This. Zhao Yulan's face turned red, and she was terribly annoyed. No matter what Yu Tao said was true or not, anyway, if this matter broke down, they would do it wrong everywhere. She is in a hurry and panic at the moment. If the Zhou family knew that they were hospitalized without telling them, what would the Zhou family think of them? What would you think about early summer? Yu Tao's gaze turned to Jingzhe. With an unfriendly expression on his face, Jingzhe, you and the third child are also friends, right? The uncle finally found a caring one. She couldn't allow them to sabotage. Jingzhe looked at Yu Tao calmly. Think about it differently. In Lin Chuxia's position, would you really do what you said now? Yu Tao was slightly taken aback. That's right. When she was not married, her parents were always careful with the Zhou family, for fear of causing misunderstandings. If she and Zhou Zikang were not classmates, her parents would have become uneasy. What is it like? Her family is in the same city as Zhou's. Both her parents were like this, not to mention Lin Chuxia's parents were in a remote village. From yesterday's meeting, she could also see that Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan were definitely not people who were greedy for cheap. In other words, although they were poor, they had backbone. Thinking of this, Yu Tao's resentment towards Jingzhe became much less. When did you know that uncle was sick? Last night. Jingzhe frowned slightly in his heart, unable to help. This lie must be spread like this, otherwise, it will definitely be of no benefit to Lin Chuxia. He doesn't like Zhou Mikang's domineering means to force Chuxia to marry into the Zhou family. But if he also caused Chuxia to complain from the Zhou family because of selfishness, what is the difference between him and Zhou Mikang? You, Miss Yu, don't blame Dr. Zheng. He is really kind. If he doesn't agree with us, her father will definitely not stay here in the hospital. In Chuxia Zhao Yulan, who had recovered, hurried to replace Jingzhe, argued. Everything today is Jingzhe's busy work, she doesn't want others to help her and still not settle down. Jingzhe looked at Yu Tao seriously. Uncle Lin only needs to be hospitalized for 4 or 5 days before he can go back. I helped arrange everything. If you really want to do their best, don't tell the Zhou family. This. Yu Tao was a little hesitant. She was also a wife, so she understood Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan's thoughts very well, but she felt sorry for Zhou Mikang for hiding it like this. Aunt and Uncle Jingzhe looked at Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan. After returning to the teacher, I will tell Zhou Mikang about my uncle's hospitalization. In this way, it will be convenient for him to bring Chuxia to visit you. What do you think? Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan looked at each other, and they were a little moved, and they turned to look at Yu Tao together. Uncle Lin, Auntie Zhao, don't worry. If you notify the third child, I will never tell anyone else. Yu Tao quickly assured that she was originally to protect Zhou Mikang's interests. As long as Zhou Mikang was notified, she would, then there is nothing to worry about. Then do as Dr. Jing said. Zhu Xingkan, who was standing by the side, sighed softly. Why is my son so obsessed? After finally getting such an opportunity, I met Yu Tao again. Alas, Yu Tao is a junior, so she can't argue with him. Even if Lin Chuxia is a member of the Zhou family, it is unreasonable for her to argue with Yu Tao. Forget it, think of the best in everything, no matter what. Through this matter, Lin Chuxia's impression of her son will be better. Even if it doesn't work out in the end, she will still discuss Lin Yangkaiu, so as not to make her proud all the time. Xiao Tao, you still have to take care of your mother, so don't worry about it here. Zhu Xingkan pushed Yu Tao out. Anyway, Xiaomi will be here soon, so what are you worried about? Auntie, I don't trust you, Yu Tao said bluntly. Hee, what do I worry about? Zhu Xingkan sneered. Your mother-in-law and I will quarrel, but you have to believe that I will never do anything bad to Xiao Chuxia. That would be the best. The third child and Chuxia have already engaged, and the marriage is just a matter of the moment. Don't worry about it. If Jingzhe is willing, I can help him pay attention. Our unit has many beautiful women. Girl. Zhu Xingkan nodded again and again. Okay, then let Xiao Tao worry more. Yu Tao, who was pushed to the door, turned her head to Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan and said, Uncle Lin, Aunt Zhao, I'll go to see my mother first, and then I'll come back to see you. Miss Yu, don't worry about this. Your uncle's problem is not serious. I'll take care of you, so don't worry. Zhao Yulan was very happy to have such an enthusiastic uncle and sister-in-law in early summer. Yu Tao waved her hand, turned and walked out, but 2 seconds later, she backed away. Uncle Lin, Aunt Zhao, Lao San, and Chuxia are here. Now, I can take care of my mother with peace of mind. Goodbye. When I went out again, I happened to bump into Zhou Mikang and Chuxia, so I smiled. It's a coincidence that I came earlier. I'll leave it to you guys here. Hearing her tone, Zhou Mikang frowned, and stepped into the ward with long legs. Little B, you're here? Xiaoji is going to notify you. Haha. Zhu Xingkan smiled shyly and waved her paw at Zhou Mikang, and then at Chuxia who was behind him. Little Chuxia, do you still know Auntie? Hello, Aunt Zhu. Chuxia greeted politely, then ran to her parents' bed in a few steps, and patted her father and mother's hands comfortingly. Worry. In the small conference room of the hospital, Zhou Mikang stared at Jingzhe with a livid face. You have nothing to say to me. What? Jingzhe sat down with a glass of water, took a sip slowly. What do you think I should say? Friend's wife, don't bully her. Pu, Jingzhe spat out, old Joe, can you stop giving me such a big hat? Besides, Lin Chuxia is not your wife yet. Zhou Mikang hurried forward, grabbed Jingzhe by the collar, and said word by word, I advise you, don't think about her again. Jingzhe patted his hand lightly, don't be so violent all the time, why are they hiding it from you? I'm just scared by your appearance. Zhou Mikang quickly let go of his hand. Jingzhe sat back and looked at him calmly, I also advise you, don't be like a soldier, I am not as despicable as you, if I want to pry the corner, I will not wait until now. Of course, I admit that I like Lin Chuxia very much. I have no reason not to like a smart, beautiful, and motivated girl, but I will definitely not do anything that damages her reputation. I admit that I have a little selfishness about her father being hospitalized. In front of you, I don't want to lie. It was Dean Su who first saw Uncle Lin's condition. On the day of the celebration, Dean Su raised his voice with me, but at that time, I really didn't expect it to be Uncle Lin. It was also later that I suddenly thought that the only people who came to visit relatives in the army were Lin Chuxia's parents and uncles and aunts. Then, I called Dean Lin. According to her description, I was basically sure that it was either Lin Chuxia's father or Lin Chuxia's uncle who got sick. Later, when we were chatting, I judged based on Lin Chuxia's father's small movements that he was the patient. As for what they are hiding from you, you have to understand. After all, the difference between your two families is too great, and they are such precious daughters. Moreover, I think such elders are worthy of respect. Before you came, they had promised to tell you the truth, but not to let your elders know. Also, your sister-in-law is really good to you, and she also promised that as long as she told you, she would not tell the rest of the Zhou family. Leak. I hope that you can consider the mood of your father-in-law and mother-in-law and cooperate with them. As for me, if you do well, it will be useless to do what I do. If you do not do well, don't blame me for being merciless. Zhou Mikang snorted coldly, I don't need you to teach me how to do it. But, thank you for this matter. Thank you, as a son-in-law, understand. Understood. Jingzhe laughed loudly, Zhou Mikang, I can see that you seem to have genuine feelings for Lin Chuxia, that's fine, as long as you treat her sincerely, I will definitely not cause damage. But there is one thing that still needs your support. I have already submitted an early request to have Lin Chuxia as my assistant. If you want her to have a good future and her family can face you face to face with confidence, don't stop me. Zhou Mikang said angrily, you despicable fellow. Jingzhe spread his hands, I can't help it. It was so that Lin Chuxia could come with me to visit her parents. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 172. One more. On the playground, the recruits were in between training breaks. Seeing Chu Xia approaching, Lu Meijun trotted over to greet him, Chu Xia, did you send uncle and aunt to the train? No. What's wrong? Lu Meijun's eyes widened instantly, didn't I buy the ticket earlier? I missed the time. No, my father is not feeling well and needs to be hospitalized for a few days. Chu Xia said while looking around, where is Xiaoxian? Lu Meijun's small face suddenly collapsed, she has already been transferred to 401, and she went to look for you several times but couldn't find it, so I had to report to 401 with assistant Miao. That's great. Chu Xia breathed a sigh of relief, if you don't transfer her away, you can drown her with sarcastic remarks. That's right. Lu Meijun smiled embarrassedly, although I know it's a good thing for her to go to 401, but I still feel empty and uncomfortable in my heart. Chu Xia comforted her, we can visit her when we are resting, and she can also visit us when she is resting. Moreover, after the recruiting period is over, some medical and nursing students will be selected. Maybe, When the time comes we can be together again. That's right, Lu Meijun also let out a long sigh of relief. I will definitely work hard. Chuxia, you also work hard. Let's strive to become the group of medical students. Okay, Chuxia nodded solemnly. Dad is sick, knowing that the conditions here are convenient, but he wants to go back for treatment without telling her, which makes her very sad and distressed. If it wasn't for fear that she would not be valued by the Zhou family, if it wasn't for fear of dragging her down, how could he do this? If she makes herself stronger. If you have a skill, maybe your parents won't worry about gains and losses like they do now. I always feel that my family is not worthy of Zhou's family. Her original specialty was piano. However, in this era, this is not an industry that people respect. Moreover, the reason why she was forced to practice the piano by her parents before is that she has a very deep resistance to this as a career, so it is okay to use it as a hobby. If this is a career, it is definitely not what she wants. Then, the only options she could choose were doctors or nursing troupe and medical team, which were the only choices for female soldiers. She rejected the cultural troupe, so she naturally chose the medical team, and she was originally a member of the medical team. Jingzhe is the most famous surgeon in 401, and now he only has one male assistant. At his level, he can bring another one. When the other party invited her, she just wanted to make it easier to visit her parents. But after staying there for a while, her thoughts completely changed, the humbleness of her parents in front of Zhou's family. She had to make more plans. When Zhou Mikang and Jingzhe went to the office, her parents didn't want to ask her much in front of Zhu Xingqin. However, worries and worries. But it is clearly hanging on the face. A doctor, or her best choice in this time and space, and with this expertise, it will be convenient for her family in the future. Just like Lin Baohe's illness this time, she was both worried and fortunate. Of course, she was worried about her recovery, but fortunately she was discovered early. If she married into the Zhou family without any skills, maybe her parents would never trust her for the rest of her life. Even if they took them to their side in the future, they would feel that they were eating the Zhou family's food and owed the Zhou family. Then, she will make herself stronger and let her parents believe that their daughter is worthy of Zhou's family. It is capable of making them live a good life. She is not a feminist, and she doesn't think it is a shame to spend a man's money. She just hopes that the two people who treat her best in this world can live happily without burden. Since Jingzhe is willing to accept her as an apprentice, then she must cherish the opportunity and let her parents be proud of her one day. As for Zhou Mikang's objection, she decided to ignore it. If she lived under his pressure all the time, or if she would really become his subordinate, that feeling, not to mention her parents, would not be happy even with her. Just thinking about it this way, is it right or wrong for her to marry Zhou Mikang? Originally, she wanted a meal ticket delivered to her door, so she just accepted it, but now it seems that she can earn a meal for herself, so do you still need a meal ticket? No matter what she thinks about, she will be married. If she dares to go back now, let alone become a doctor, it will be difficult for her to stay here. The Zhou family should not be pressured or create rumors, but facing Zhenmei and Zhou Mikang every day, she will be very stressed. Moreover, she forgot the most important thing, the house. Newly built house. That's not something she can afford for a while. To be kind, one must not do things like crossing rivers and tearing down bridges. There is no relationship now, but there will always be feelings after getting along for a long time, and, generally speaking, Zhou Mikang is good to her and her family. Like today, he willingly stayed and helped her mother to accompany the bed. The purpose was to let her go back to the team to train with peace of mind. It can be seen how reluctant he was to hand her over to Jingzhe, but he still did that. Think about his attitude towards his family, or, she should really be content. If such a man treats someone sincerely, as long as he doesn't betray him, he doesn't have to worry about his betrayal. Thinking about those shaky marriages in later generations, she suddenly felt that, in fact, this forced marriage is not bad. Chuxia, Lin Chuxia. Huh? What's wrong? Chuxia came back to her senses, and saw Lu Meijun stretching out her hand in front of her eyes. You didn't hear what I just said. Lu Meijun looked disappointed. Chuxia scratched her head apologetically. Sorry, I still miss my parents. Lu Meijun immediately felt relieved. I understand, I just told you that it's a pity that you were not here yesterday. After Captain Zheng announced that Xiao Qian was transferred to 401 to be Dean Su's assistant, those who made sarcastic remarks are completely stupid. Ha ha ha. The corner of Chu Xia's mouth curled up. I can imagine it. Lu Meijun patted Chu Xia on the shoulder proudly. In short, if we work hard together, even if we can't compare with Xiaoxian, we can't be the bottom one, right? Teacher Jing has already agreed to accept me as an apprentice. He will teach me the study and practice of cultural subjects. My father is sick. I begged him urgently, and he agreed. After hesitating for a while, Chu Xia still told Lu Meijun about Jing Zhe taking her as his apprentice. After all, apart from Xiaoxian, Lu Meijun was the best person to her, and she didn't want to lose this friend. It's just that she modified the cause of the matter a little, so that it would be easier for people to accept. It took a long time for Chu Xia to finish speaking before Lu Meijun closed her open mouth with envy on her face. Dr. Jing saves a knife, and he basically doesn't take students who don't have basic skills. You are really lucky. Yeah, I also feel that I'm really lucky. It just so happens that he still has a spot. Seeing how worried my parents are about me, and I begged him, my heart softens. Oh, good luck is coming, and it can't be stopped. After a pause, Lu Meijun cheered up again. Maybe, my good luck will come soon. Chu Xia smiled and patted her hand. Between friends, good luck is contagious. That's right. Lu Meijun's eyes lit up immediately. First Xiaoxian, then Chuxia. Could her good luck be far behind? I'm more confident now. After much deliberation about the engagement, Chu Xia decided not to tell Lu Meijun. The chances of this matter being leaked are basically very small. She has already made an appointment with Zhou Mikang, so there shouldn't be any problems. Based on how she got along these days, she certainly believed in Lu Meijun's character, but, no matter whether it was for herself or for the other party, she should keep it a secret for the time being. Too big a gap will really create a gap between the two people whose friendship is still not strong. She doesn't want to risk losing this friend. Of course, when she gets married, she will notify her close friends. Now, it's better to keep a low profile. If it is leaked, it will be her who will feel uncomfortable. After all, she is still on her heels, and a woman's jealousy is the most terrifying thing. Don't want to try. Yang Xiaoli expressed her blessings to Chu Xia when no one was around. Of course, Chu Xia knew that Yang Xiaoli didn't value her, but the Zhou family. The kindness she expressed to her was entirely because of the Zhou family behind her. This kind of friendship was the most unreliable, so she only responded politely. The other party didn't say a single word of nonsense. When eating at noon, the girl sitting at the next table spoke harsh words to her intentionally or unintentionally. She took 2 days more rest than them for no reason, and she was sore. Chu Xia pretended not to hear it, so she just lowered her head and ate her own food. But in her heart, she felt a little depressed. If Xiaoxian was here, she would definitely protect her again. I don't know what that girl is doing now, whether she is used to the new position or not. In the afternoon, the first test since the training was held. Because of Chu Xia's favor, Jingzhe and Zhengmei switched their time and took culture class in the afternoon. After this exam, I will select the student with the best grades to be my student. After I leave Teacher A, I will teach her cultural and practical classes in 401 in the afternoon after the papers were collected, Jingzhe announced. Chu Xia's face turned red. She regretted telling Lu Meijun the truth. What would the other party think? Sure enough, Lu Meijun poked her quietly and gave her a meaningful smile. Fortunately, everyone was immersed in excitement at this time, and no one paid attention to the two of them, otherwise, one could definitely tell something from Chu Xia's face. Since the class was over, the students were everywhere discussing who would be Jingzhe's assistant. In the end, everyone deduced a few people by themselves: Zhang Xiaoyan from Class 1, Yang Xiaoli and Lin Xiaoran from Class 3, Guning Ai and Rao Shui from Class 4, Li Hongxia from Class 7, and Yu Xing from Class 10. I don't know if everyone did it on purpose or not. Anyway, Chu Xia was ignored. Speaking of which, her performance in class was definitely better than the ones mentioned above, but everyone just missed her. Lu Meijun, who already knew the result, took advantage of everyone's inattention, and smiled at Chu Xia. Tomorrow, because of a deliberate omission, they will be reminded tomorrow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 173. In the second watch, for all kinds of support from relatives, please ask for opinions by the way. Nuan doesn't want to get too involved in the training plot. Everyone finds this kind of plot boring. Now this paragraph can be regarded as a three-dimensional view of the character of several roommates. Transformation, the positioning of the characters on the stage is complete, and the marriage will soon come. If everyone agrees, please leave a message. The above words are not money. After dinner, Chu Xia felt a little uneasy sitting there. She tried hard to calm herself down, but she couldn't. She was worried about her father's health, and she was also worried that her mother would not sleep well at night. She wanted to accompany them, but she was a recruit, and she had already caused dissatisfaction. Lin Chuxia. It wasn't until she was poked that Chu Xia came back to her senses, and saw Zhang Erniu standing beside her smiling awkwardly. You looking for me? Chu Xia asked suspiciously. I was transferred to shift 3. Zhang Erniu twisted her clothes back and forth. Someone wanted to go to our class, so they transferred me to shift 3. Only then did Chu Xia realize that there was an extra luggage roll in Xiaoxing's vacated position. Who went to your class? Lu Meijun raised her head from the book, with a curious expression on her face. You can even say that you can adjust the spot when you change the class. Who is this guy? Several pairs of eyes in the dormitory of the third class cast over, and Zhang Erniu was even more embarrassed. It seems that she just came here. She looks pretty good, and she has a good relationship with Rao Shui, and no one else wants to be with her. She tuned it? I tuned it? Qiao Ning frowned. Didn't Captain Zheng arrange it? Just now the second girl told her that she was transferred to the third shift, and she thought it was Zheng Mei. Zhang Erniu shook her head. No, they asked me to come here first, saying that they would talk to the captain in a while. Let me not worry about it. Yang Xiaoli couldn't help but said, Zhang Erniu, you are a soldier, and you have to abide by the discipline of the army. How can they do what they say? Even if this matter needs to be transferred, it must be voluntary on your part. Zhang Erniu nodded quickly. Yes, I am willing. Yuan Mengmeng looked at Yang Xiaoli with a smirk. Yang, you seem to be meddling in your own business. Well, pretend I didn't say it. Yang Xiaoli was also a little bit uninterested. Haven't seen a bag like this before. Yes, she is really meddling. No, Zhang Erniu carefully looked at this and then that. His eyes looked a bit uncomfortable. I know you are doing it for my own good, but I am really willing to come to class 3, and I want to be with Lin Chuxia. Why, Chu Xia looked confused. When did she become so popular? Zhang Erniu smiled embarrassedly. I want to improve my grades with you. A black line in early summer. Well, she was acting passionate, so she wanted to find a poor companion to be with her. Ha ha ha, who really likes someone? Yuan Mengmeng laughed unkindly. She doesn't usually dislike Chu Xia, especially after Yang Xiaoli and Chu Xia got closer, whenever there was a chance. She must say a few words against Chu Xia, such a good opportunity right now. How could she be willing to miss it? Me. Zhang Erniu murmured, like a frightened little rabbit, which made Jiao Ning's heart soften, and stepped forward to give her a hand. You can go to the captain's office with me, we can't decide this kind of thing privately. And Zhang Erniu responded, followed Jiao Ning out of the dormitory with drooping shoulders. Sun Shangmei, who has always been grateful to Chu Xia for helping her, took the initiative to come to Chu Xia's side. Lin Chuxia, I will train with you in the future. As long as you are willing to endure hardships, your grades will definitely improve. Thank you. Chu Xia thanked her. She didn't say let's accompany her, she didn't say she wouldn't let her accompany her. How could Sun Shangmei give up so easily, and stared straight at her. From now on, after dinner for half an hour, I will accompany you playground. She wants to exercise, and she will definitely use all the gaps to improve herself, but this kind of thing that rigidly fixes the time is what she dislikes the most. She didn't want to ask Sun Shangmei for leave for anything in the future. It is undeniable that Sun Shangmei has a good heart, but her typical character is really too stressful. Sun Shangmei, I am very grateful that you are thinking of me, but you don't need to be with me. I have a problem. If I am with someone whose grades are much better than mine, I will be particularly nervous and prone to mistakes. At that time, you will be angry when you look at me. I still can't practice well. How about this? Every half a month, you assess me to see if my grades have improved. When my grades are not so far from yours, you can accompany me again, okay? Chu Xia's words made Sun Shangmei very useful. Her face was obviously smiling like a flower, but her mouth was polite. Chu Xia, my grades are not as good as you said. I'm telling the truth. Chu Xia cupped his hands at her. Daxia-sun, please forgive me. Allowing me to make progress silently is the greatest help to me. Sun Shangmei thought about it for a while, and agreed happily, but added that if Chu Xia didn't make progress, she would punish her. Okay, if you don't make any progress, you can just punish me. Of course, Chu Xia has no objection to this. As long as Sun Shangmei doesn't follow her as if watching her, she will basically agree to any conditions. I'm going to read a book. Sun Shangmei scratched her head and sighed. Oh, if only the study is like training, it would be great if you put in as much effort as you can and get as much as you can. You should be thankful that she didn't have a good culture class, otherwise, how could she let you go so easily? After Sun Shangmei walked away, Lu Meijun leaned into Chu Xia's ear and whispered. Chu Xia nodded in agreement, and heaved a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, Sun Shangmei is a child who seeks progress. Isn't she being kind enough? After a while, Jiao Ning came back with Zhang Erniu. Do you want to stay or move back? Yuan Mengmeng asked first. Zhang Erniu glanced at Jiao Ning anxiously, but did not dare to say anything. I've never seen you so useless. If I had known, I wouldn't have taken you there. I'm so mad, Jiao Ning yelled at her bitterly. Turn around and leave the dormitory again. Everyone looked at each other in blank dismay. Is the squad leader's tube swollen? Since we met, it was the first time I saw her get so angry, even if Yuan Mengmeng and others targeted her before. I've never seen her get so angry. Yuan Mengmeng pointed out, how did you mess with her? Zhang Erniu wrinkled her little face and was about to cry. Lin Mengran gave her an annoyed look. Just tell me what's going on, I'm the most annoying bum like you. Chu Xiaojing nodded in agreement. Yeah, if you have anything to say quickly, It's really not easy to make the squad leader angry like that. I don't know why the squad leader is so angry. Everyone fell silent, even Yuan Mengmeng fell silent. Chu Xia looked at her. You are in class 3, right? Then pack your luggage first. Don't stand there. Chu Xia was also annoyed by this kind of character who couldn't kick a fart with 3 legs, but, considering that the other party was defecting, to her, she still did her best. Friendship. Yezhong Erniu smiled gratefully at Chu Xia, drooped her shoulders, moved to the side of the bed, and started packing things lightly. When you were walking, Lu Meijun drooped her shoulders forward and looked at Zhang Erniu. Why do you have to put your shoulders like this? That's what I do when I'm nervous. Lu Meijun smiled at her with a good temper. We are sisters in the same dormitory. What are you so nervous about? The squad leader is angry with me. Zhang Erniu rolled her eyelids quickly. I don't want to go to class 4. Yuan Mingmeng's good intentions suddenly arose. Is everyone in class 4 bullying you? Zhang Erniu shook her head, then nodded again. Yuan Mengmeng rolled his eyes. Let's do this. You will wash my clothes in the future, and I will guarantee that you will always be in the 3rd shift. How about it? Zhang Erniu replied cheerfully. And looked at the others. I wash too. Are you shameless? Lin Mengran stared at Yuan Mengmeng in disgust. Are you willing to bully people like this? I'm just talking casually. She promised it herself. Can you blame me? Lin Mengran snorted coldly. You can lie to ghosts with your words. Then she turned her gaze to Zhang Erniu. You are here to serve as a soldier, not to serve others. I don't care what reason you came to the 3rd class. But I hope you can stand up and be a man, do your own thing well, and let yourself stay here. That is the most important thing. Yezhong Erniu responded weakly. I'll help you do the laundry, too. Lin Mengran's mouth was open, and he was so angry that he didn't say a word for a long time. Yuan Mengmeng almost burst out laughing, and everyone else was trembling with laughter. Zhang Erniu, you are so cute. Yang Xiaoli smiled and gave Zhang Erniu a thumbs up while beating the bed. Zhang Erniu huddled, looking at a loss. Chu Xia felt a little worried. What kind of family environment did this child grow up in? How timid to this extent? Patting her on the shoulder, Chu Xia softened her voice. Lin Mengran's intentions are good, and you are not here to be an old lady. Everyone has hands and feet, and you can wash your own clothes. You just need to wash your own. Since you came to the 3rd class, you are a member of the 3rd class, the class leader is kind-hearted, and will not care about you. Well, when I'm free, I'll wash it for you. Early summer. Ha ha ha. Hilarious laughter overturned the roof of class 3 again. Everyone can now be sure that the clothes of class 4 were basically washed by Zhang Erniu in the past, and she also planted a deep-rooted impression on her that only by washing clothes can she not be bullied. When Xiaoning Ai came in, she saw everyone's smiling faces blushing, so she looked suspiciously at Sun Shangmei who was closest to her. What's wrong? You can hear the laughter of the 3rd class every 3 miles. You got angry just now, and everyone asked Zhang Erniu's Sun Shangmei explained in detail what happened just now, and she heard that Xiaoning Ai was embarrassing. Well, now she feels that the matter of her anger is really not good. What a big deal. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 174. One more. The joining of Zhang Erniu brought the 3rd class back to 10 people. As for who the god Chen Yejin who came in halfway was, everyone was very curious. Unfortunately, Xiaoning Ai didn't want to mention it, so everyone could only be curious. Into dreamland. Chu Xia fell asleep in worry. Now she is not interested in who drove Zhang Erniu to the 3rd shift. She is only worried about whether her old mother has a place to sleep. At this time, the leader Tongzi was guarding Lin Baohe's bed, and Zhao Yulan was forced by the leader Tongzi to sleep in Jingzhe's lounge. How could Zhao Yulan sleep? But the indisputable character of the future son-in-law, how can she beat him? He had no choice but to lie on the small bed in Jingzhe's lounge and kept tossing and turning. Over there, Lin Baohe was also extremely uncomfortable. Although he was able to speak up when fighting for his daughter's rights and interests, but the identity of the son-in-law was there after all, and he was not too familiar with him. He really couldn't bear to let the other party come to accompany him in bed. Moreover, he hasn't had an operation yet, and he doesn't need an for at night, so he doesn't need to accompany him in bed at all. Okay. Helplessly, he signaled several times secretly and clearly, but the son-in-law still sat there motionless, which made him both happy and terrified. Why is the son-in-law staying here? Of course it's because of my daughter. Although thinking that his daughter will be pampered and hurt by another man in the future, he will feel a little sour about his daughter being snatched away, but compared to his daughter's happiness, what is his little sourness? Quietly looking at the straight back sitting on the bed, Lin Baohe closed his eyes comfortably, and continued to think, if the son-in-law cares so much about his daughter, why is the gift money? Several times Lin Baohe even wanted to ask, but he swallowed the words back. If you really want to ask that, what if you are misunderstood that he is greedy for the Zhou family's money? Never mind. Time will tell, so he doesn't think about it. This is the second time for Zhou Mikang to accompany her in bed. He knew that Chu Xia was worried that her mother would not have a place to rest at night, so, knowing that Lin Baohe didn't need to accompany her in bed, he forcibly came to accompany her in bed. Only in this way can Zhao Yulan feel at ease. Go to rest, Chief Zhaizi, are you sure? There are 4 patients in the room. 2 of them had to be dripped all night after the operation, but in order not to affect the rest of others, the 2 patients who needed the drip only turned on the small light by the bedside, and the nurses came in very lightly. In this way, it seemed that this night was extraordinarily quiet. Zhou Mikang sat there quietly, staring unfocusedly at the nurse's desk outside the door, feeling in his heart, but far less calm than the expression on his face. The last time I was in bed with you. The one lying on the bed was Yemiru. That is abroad. He was so busy studying that he never noticed her strangeness. Until one day, when he came home from get out of class, he found her paralyzed in pain in the living room. Under the body, there are blood stains that have solidified. When I saw him, her eyes lit up. Brother, help me. She kept calling him brother. He thought she was seriously ill. I was so scared that I picked her up and ran out, forgetting that there was a phone in the room, so I could call an ambulance directly. She had a miscarriage. Although he and she lived in the same room, they had always abided by their duties. 1 month before that happened, he and her drank a lot. When he woke up, he was hugging her, naked. Therefore, he did not doubt the child's origin at all. He took care of her wholeheartedly, and he was so guilty that he thought it was his negligence that caused her harm. He even swore secretly when he was sitting by the hospital bed that he must work hard to let her live the life she wanted. Before he was discharged from the hospital, he went to ask the attending doctor if there was anything he needed to pay attention to when he returned. The attending doctor was a woman in her 40s, and she looked at him with a very unkind expression. Do you know how much a miscarriage of a 4-month-old fetus can cause a woman? Even if the ban can be lifted after 3 months, can you do anything else? He was confused by the doctor's questioning, thinking that the other party had admitted the wrong person, so he reported the bed number, but the other party said angrily, "That's right, it was you, don't you know why she had a miscarriage?" I pretended to be confused and thought we doctors were fools. Later, he was scolded as a fool by the attending doctor. On the day he was admitted to the hospital, he was in a panic, and he didn't hear what the doctor said clearly. He only knew that he would sign when he was asked to sign. In the next few days, The doctor just made rounds to observe the recovery situation, and didn't mention anything about his illness. I have always felt that the child is only 1 month old and has a miscarriage. After being scolded, he went back to look at the medical records, and sure enough, it was clearly marked that the 14th week of gestation caused a traumatic abortion. He didn't know what hurtful abortion was, but according to the doctor's scolding, if he didn't understand what hurtful abortion meant, he would really be considered a pig. He didn't say anything at the time, and accompanied her out of the hospital. During the time she needed to recuperate, he didn't say anything, he just took care of her with all his heart, and she also showed unprecedented tenderness. Everything looked beautiful. Only he knows best, the monstrous waves hidden in his heart. As soon as she fully recovered, he had a showdown with her. She didn't deny it, saying that he left her at home, she was so lonely. Danny was very gentle and treated her well. Then, he moved out of that home. She went to Danny's. That time, her hospital bed was also facing the nurse's desk, but the nurse behind the desk had blue eyes. The same scene brought dusty memories to the surface. He closed his eyes and sighed, trying to suppress the depression in his heart, and secretly blamed himself. He was already engaged, so why should he think about things that had passed long ago? "This is for you, you can rest your legs on it." The little nurse blushed and moved a chair for him, and also gave him a blanket by the way. Staring at him with a hook, probably caused a misunderstanding. Alas, he turned his back to Lin Bao, just because he didn't want to make him feel uncomfortable, but he didn't expect that the little nurse misunderstood him, but there was no way to explain it, so he waved his hand and put the blanket on the chair, to signal the other party to move out. The little nurse blushed even more, and lowered her voice, "You can use it. Sitting like this all night is too tiring. I'm on duty, so I don't even need it." After finishing speaking, Joe Mikang ran quickly out. The room was quiet, and although the little nurse's voice was low, anyone who was not asleep could hear it clearly. The escorts in the second bed and the third bed couldn't sleep, and they looked at Joe Mikang with narrow eyes. They knew the relationship between Joe Mikang and the couple living in the bed. Although I didn't talk about it in detail, I also vaguely knew from the conversation that this is the daughter of the family who became a soldier and climbed to the top. To be honest, the women with the second and third beds are envious from the bottom of their hearts. They don't know what the future son-in-law's family situation is like, but it's really rare to find a son-in-law who can do his best so hard. If their daughters can find such a son-in-law who knows the cold and the hot and respects his father-in-law and mother-in-law, that would be great. After the little nurse who delivered the blanket sat back, another little nurse on duty poked her anxiously and asked, "Xiao Yan, how is it? What did he tell you? Is it time to share our wedding candy?" "Damn it," the nurse called Xiao Yan gave him a glance, "I just gave him the chair and blanket so that he wouldn't stare at me." "Where are you going?" "Really? Then why is your face so red?" "It's hot," Xiao Yan said while fanning his hands. "It's already June, it's too hot." "Jiangming, aren't you hot?" "Well, you don't wear much, I wear too much." "No, I need to wear less tomorrow a bit." Jiangming interrupted her, "Okay. Don't pretend here, why are you making excuses? People only make excuses for themselves when they have a guilty conscience. What are you hot?" While talking, I took her hand to try. "It's cold, and what's the point of being hot? I'm wearing a single shirt and I'm wearing too much. I'm wearing autumn clothes inside, so I won't tell a lie." "Isn't it because I'm afraid that you will think too much that I can lie?" Xiao Yan couldn't help but lower his voice again. "Are you sure he is their son? He called them father and mother, is that still false? Are you sure the daughter in bed one is Director Jing's girlfriend? If it wasn't for Director Jing's girlfriend, would he let the family members of the first bed go to his rest room to rest? Can you be so nervous about the operation of the first bed? When did you see Director Jing have such a minor operation?" "That's right," Xiao Yan nodded. if that's the case, rural ones are not unacceptable, right? Are you convincing me or yourself? Jiangming pouted and lay on the nurse's table. If it was me he was staring at, I wouldn't hesitate. With a little brother-in-law like Drjing, still worried about the countryside not changing the city? Besides, he is a soldier. Judging by his age, he should be in his mid-20s, so he must have been transferred to the volunteer army. When the time comes, the Jing family will help out, so staying here will definitely not be a problem. You are the only daughter in your family. It might be difficult to find a man from the city to walk in the door. If you don't seize such a good opportunity, you will definitely regret it. Xiao Yan didn't say anything more, but judging by her expression, she just listened to Jiangming's words. She quietly raised her head to glance at Zhou Mikang, only to find that his back was already facing her. The chair she gave was placed at the door, and the blanket was still placed on the chair as it was. How could this man be like this? Xiao Yan bit her lip, her face became a little ugly. Jiangming glanced at her, and couldn't help but burst out laughing. You idiot, if he really took your blanket and covered you, you should be angry. What does it mean for a man not to use women's things easily? Think about it. Specialized, Xiao Yan's eyes lit up. Jiangming shrugged, that's what you said. If you don't investigate, you don't have the right to speak. I won't give you such a guarantee. Xiao Yan poked her angrily, it's dead, it's obviously the topic you raised.